Hey everybody, this is Rob.
And Jeremy.
Jeremy's back.
Woohoo!
Again. Yeah.
First time in months. Years? No.
Welcome to No Good Music, and we are on show 68. And the song you just heard was the newest single from Australian blues guitarist Jeremy. What are you drinking over there already?
Whatever you gave me.
A Dale's Pale Ale.
A Dale's Pale Ale.
Okay, so that was Australian blues guitarist Hamish Anderson, and the song was called Stir Crazy, and it was just released. We are recording, we usually don't say the date, but this was released yesterday on August 9th. And thank you, Monica Hopman from Think Press for giving us permission to play part of the song. Now, Jeremy thought we were talking while it was playing, and you didn't hear us talking, of course, but I think it sounds like Tom Petty.
Okay, I could hear that now that you say it.
But Jeremy thought it was Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
There's a big difference. But a little bit about Hamish. It's been about 5 years since producer Hamish Anderson released his last album, Out of My Head. He supported the album touring in his native Australia and Europe with Gary Clark Jr. throughout 2019. But before the start of his U.S. tour leg in May 2020, the global pandemic ended his run, and Hamish was stranded for 3 years in Australia from his band.
What?
So I guess his band was in the U.S., and because he was supposed to travel over there.
Ah.
So he couldn't meet up with the band, and he was on, hiatus for 3 years. Last year, Hamish was able to return to the U.S. and resume touring, and he supported Gary Clark Jr. and George Thorogood and the Destroyers. Now, Jeremy and I saw him, and I looked up the concert that we were at, and he did not open. I don't remember a blues guitarist. I don't remember anybody opening.
I don't remember an opener, no.
Yeah. And he reunited with his band to record his new album. It's called Electric, a fuzzed-out, hard-rocking love letter to the electric guitar. And throughout the album, he plays homage to guitar greats of the past, T-Rex, Hendrix, Jimmy Page, as well as current inspirations, Arctic Monkeys.
All right.
Now, the album will be released October 11th of this year through MGM Distribution. Between tours supporting Gary Clark Jr. and George Thorogood, in 2023, Electric was cut mostly live as a trio with his touring band, bassist Lauren Stockner, drummer Pete Marin, appearances by Jesse Green on strings, who is a cellist violinist who has worked with the Foo Fighters. She's recorded with the Foo Fighters, I guess. Jerry Borg on keys. He's worked with Ziggy Marley. And also Hamish shared production duties with David Davis. He's worked with The War on Drugs, Lauren Ruth Ward, Miguel. I don't know who the last two are, but... And the result is a stellar high-energy album with a clear and unified vision that catches the energetic, raw band vibe of the 70s blues rock, but updates it with modernized sounds and forward-thinking arrangements across 11 original songs and 1 cover song. Go look for this album October 11th, and there is a good chance that we may interview Hamish before his album's out. So yeah, that was Stir Crazy by Hamish Anderson. We're going to tell you now what we've been up to because I haven't seen Jeremy in a couple months. I've recorded a podcast with Matt. Jeremy,
several, right?
Yeah. But Jeremy, tell us about a couple concerts you've been to recently.
Yeah, so actually 3 of them to talk about. I'll go in order, I guess. First one was kind of an accident. My cousin and I wanted to go see HAELSTORM, but we didn't want to pay the ticket prices at the time to see HAELSTORM. So we kept an eye on the prices, and I don't know, about 2-3 days before the show, prices had really dropped. And we were like, hey, if they stay at this rate, we might consider going. Well, long story short, day of the concert, we ended up getting tickets for like $20 each after the fees and everything. So we went, checked it out, and there was a band that opened for them called I Prevail. Mm-hmm. I didn't know a lot about them. I wasn't crazy about them. However, the crowd was really into them. They had the largest pop of the night.
Were they like hardcore, like
It was one of those, like, that type of singing.
Yeah, I can't listen to that.
Yeah, not my thing. And they also did, in between every set song, they had a narrator, like, telling a story. That was kind of cool. They had a cool light show. I mean, as I said, the crowd was into them. The people I was with and myself, we were not into them. So for us, it wasn't really an enjoyable experience to see that particular band.
Yeah, that's why I never saw a band like Guar, you know, where they're just, I don't know, not even, you can't even tell what they're singing.
You couldn't understand a word he was saying.
I don't know, understand.
Because it was like a combination of rap and rock in that, like,
yeah,
you know, that baritone, like, growl type of performance. Now, oddly enough, he came on and performed a song with Lizzie Hale from HAELSTORM.
Yeah.
It sounded really good.
Okay.
Because his growl matched with her voice.
Yeah.
The combination sounded okay. We actually enjoyed that song. This was the 4th time that I've seen HAELSTORM, and probably my least favorite of the 4 times.
Okay.
Not anything they did wrong. I wasn't in love with the set list this time around.
I would have liked to have seen them. I've never seen them. But I think it was a weeknight too, wasn't it?
It was. It was like a Wednesday night, and there was nothing wrong with they were great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my favorite. I'd say, you know, that concert was probably like a 3 stars out of 5. Good. I did not, so I started to tell you this earlier, but then I saved it for the podcast. This is the only show I did not get a band shirt at.
Okay.
So we were talking, and I don't want to rip on bands' prices for merchandise. $40-$45 is kind of the going rate for a shirt. Theirs were $50. And I thought that was just a bit steep. At 40, I would have been in.
Well, I don't like every year it seems like everything keeps go off what you're talking about with the concert, but we were just at an autograph show today, and I was talking to CJ Graham, who played Jason and Jason Lives, and we were talking about the prices of autographs, and he keeps his price low, but every year it seems like it keeps inching up, and the same with band merchandise. That's why when we went to see George Thorogood and the Destroyers, we got shirts. They were probably $40, but they also had autographed posters.
I think they were only $35.
Okay, because even the poster was what, $25?
I think that was only like 15 or 20.
Yeah,
maybe 25.
I was like, I should have bought like 10, and
and they were signed by the whole band.
Yeah.
Yeah, we walked out that night with, I don't know, $60-$70 for the 2 things that we got, and we got 2 really nice things. So
I really think people can sell more of something if the price is less, and make more money than when they have the price higher.
Yep.
That's my theory.
I agree. So that was the first show. That was a good one. Just a few nights later, I went to see Imagine Dragons. And I tried to get Rob to come to me with the show, but he wouldn't do it.
Afterthought, I'm like, I should have gone, because I do like to see like a new band maybe you have never seen before. Some could be bucket list, like Rolling Stones. Some could be like Imagine Dragons. You know, I could have gone, and Jeremy said it was an incredible show.
It was an incredible show. I didn't know what to expect. It's a band that a lot of their music is on the radio. You know them whether you realize it or not a lot of times. But every song that night just had a great energy to each song.
Yeah, so, they're fairly young guys. Yeah.
Yes, and even when they slowed it down, they knew how to pick it right back up.
Believer, I like. I think that's what the one
they closed with that.
Yeah, yep. That's a good, energetic song.
Yeah, The Natural, like everybody went nuts when that started playing. Thunder is another big one. That was their second song, so they eased into the show with a newer song that people were like on their feet and, okay, this is good, not really singing along. But then they went into Thunder, and the place just, no pun intended, but a thunderous ovation came from it. That show I would give a 5 stars. It was just that good. There was an opening band too. They were Miles Davis or Miles Welsh or something like that.
Miles Davis.
I don't remember what they were called.
Dead for 20-some years.
Davis Miles something. I sent you a picture.
Oh, okay.
But they sounded very reggae, shaggy-ish.
Yeah.
And it was just a very chill performance.
It wasn't me. I don't know what this song.
Yeah. They were good. They played for, 45 minutes, but they had a good sound to them. And then the third show was Greta Van Fleet, which is a very young, up-and-coming band. Everybody always says they sound like Led Zeppelin, but he also has a very Geddy Lee Rush sound to him.
Yeah, I think his voice is a little higher than Robert Plant's.
Yeah. There was also a band that opened for them called The Beaches, which was an all-girl rock group that reminded me a lot of the Go-Go's. They had a lot of energy, really good poise on the stage, really good energy, great sound. It's the type of band that I knew nothing about, and I went and added songs to my playlist.
Jeremy sent me one of their videos, and they're good. I don't know. I listen to I listen to so much music sometimes that I don't know. They kind of sounded like something else maybe that I listen to, but So everybody has to have a gimmick, but
right. But they were really good. They played for, I don't know, like 40 minutes. And then Greta Van Fleet came on. Greta Van Fleet, I'm going to say, was a good show. His vocals are unbelievable. His range is just amazing, astonishing. He loves to hold out notes and show it off.
Yeah.
Their downfall, if I had a complaint, they did a lot of instrumentals to kind of hold out songs too long. He held out a lot of notes that got very repetitive, and it got to a point where you felt like you were listening to one long song all night long.
I think that's the problem I have with them. I do like them, but I can't listen for too long. Or I go and I'm like, I need to listen to some Led Zeppelin. But
so I'd probably give them maybe a 3.5 out of 5. Very good show. I'm not, bad. All 3 shows were good. My stepdad and I went, and he's a huge fan. And even after the concert, he said, I don't know that I'd go to see him again next year. Maybe 5 years from now, I'd go to see it. But so the impression we kind of got was it was good, but it didn't leave us wanting to see it again.
Does he like Mammoth?
Yes.
He should go see them with us. Jeremy and I have seen them twice.
Yep.
Wolfgang Van Halen.
And I can't wait for a third time.
They're just so good.
Yes. So 3 good shows. My favorite, Imagine Dragons, without a doubt. I did buy concert shirts at Imagine Dragons and Greta Van Fleet, and they were both $40.
Okay.
If HAELSTORM was $40, I would have gotten a shirt, but $50 just seemed like I would have thought that might be the Imagine Dragons price, but not the HAELSTORM and I Prevail price. That just seemed odd to me.
The last concert shirt I bought was, at a concert with Steve Martin, Martin Short, which I was happy they had shirts, because comedians usually don't have shirts.
Right.
The thing is, it was the shirt from their last tour, I think, because the show that we saw was not on the back of the shirt.
Get the discount.
Yeah.
Sure.
So also Jeremy, he goes to a lot of autograph shows. Like we were at New Jersey HorrorCon today in Edison, New Jersey. Had a great time. But Jeremy also, I don't know how much he can say about, he has a new job.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know what is there an official title?
Yeah, I'm a handler.
Okay. I didn't want to say handler because that's what I didn't know if that was the official.
That is the official title. I'm a handler.
So when you go to the shows and you go up to the table and there's a guy that, takes the money, and that's what Jeremy's going to be doing. He's going to be sitting next to the celebrity.
Yep. I've signed my contract. It is official.
And his first show is Oklahoma City.
No, Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Yes.
Okay.
That's okay.
So that's Jeremy's new gig besides his regular job.
Yeah, I'm excited because it's all, like, everything's included. So I just have to go and work.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about getting there or what am I going to do once I'm there. Like, that's all taken care of.
No, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. And if you've met me, I'm a social butterfly is a good way of putting it. So, come up, say hi, like, talk to me. I won't bite you, I promise.
So today we went to the New Jersey HorrorCon and we did a photo op with non-horror people. And it's a movie from, what was it, 1980?
The mid-80s, 84, I want to say, maybe?
And it was the Revenge of the Nerds cast. Not necessarily the first movie, a second movie maybe, because Timothy Busfield was added last minute. He was in, I think, I'm not too familiar with, but I know he probably wasn't in the first. I think he was in the second.
They were all in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But we had Curtis Armstrong, Booger. If you remember that movie, Revenge of the Nerds, Robert Carradine. There was 8 cast members. It's, I've been in photo ops, but not that many people. You know, the Children of the Corn, that was just 3 people.
And
But-
I did have concerns initially, and I didn't tell you this, but I was a little worried in the back of my mind, man, there's going to be 8 people plus Rob and myself, so there's going to be 10 people in this picture.
Yeah.
Is it going to look overcrowded and crappy? But they did a great job, I thought.
They had a wide angle or whatever. They got that photo is great.
I agree. And they have us sitting, so I think that helped. We don't look too crammed together. The front row's sitting, there's like 5 of us.
Yeah.
And in the back row, there was 5, I think.
Almost like a school picture.
Yeah. But I was very happy with how it turned out.
And then we wanted to talk just briefly about our friend Xander Goldman. He was there promoting his new movie that's just started funding on Indiegogo. If you don't know about Indiegogo, you can almost fund anything, new project, inventions. But we funded some movies.
You could fund music on there, too.
Yeah. And you get perks. I mean, you can spend $5, you can spend $5,000,
Yeah.
depending on what perk you want. And perks meaning you can be in the movie, you can have your picture in the movie, you can have your voice in the movie. Now they can do remote, where you actually do a video. Say you're a reporter, they can work that into the movie, so you're actually in the movie. And you never know with these little movies how big they're going to become, because of like Terrifier 2, obviously, had become huge, and Terrifier 3 is going to be even bigger.
Yep.
But Xander, we want a great guy, Xander Goldman. Go to Indiegogo, look up Crimson Harvest. Crimson Harvest.
Crimson with a Z.
And give Xander some love. He's just started funding the movie, so it hasn't started filming, of course, yet. It's going to be a little while. And Jeremy and I hope to be in it. And we were there helping promote the movie today, so we'd like to give a shout out.
And Xander has actually done an interview with the HorrorCon Lounge.
Yeah.
So.
And we may interview Xander and also Jeremy Hirsch, who was also in Macabre Mountain. That was the movie that came out last year.
Yep.
We might interview both of them for our Halloween, our October, like we always do. Horror theme.
Jeremy also did an interview with the HorrorCon Lounge.
Oh, okay. But if we interview them together and still do a crossover.
Yeah, talk music and new movie.
Yeah.
Because that was Jeremy's first time doing a podcast, so he was a little nervous. He was great to talk to, a lot of fun. Obviously, you've met him, so.
Yeah. And we really don't have sponsors on the show, but I'm going to sponsor myself because I own a print shop. And so it's been a rough couple of weeks closing our storefront for good. And I work from home now. I can basically do almost anything printing and ship it within the U.S. If you're local, of course, I'd deliver to you. But just go to Lilly, Lilly printing.com. And you can find the phone number there. And I'm not going to give out the phone number on the podcast. And the email is lilyprintingcompany@gmail.com. You can get a free quote, postcards, brochures, letterhead. I do have a pressman who owns his own print shop for offset printing. You can do invoices, anything. So anyway, there's a non-paid sponsor, myself. I'm not paying myself. So now we have music news. I have a couple stories. We'll start off with Journey. I found this article on 1029 The Whale. I assume it's a radio station. This is from August 7th. Okay, so if you haven't heard, Journey has canceled their tour.
That's outrageous.
Heart canceled their tour with Journey, Def Leppard, Charlie Sexton. My wife loves Charlie Sexton. Jeremy, you probably don't know who.
I do know who that is, actually.
He had a couple hit songs.
Yeah.
Back in I think it might have been the 90s.
Yep.
Late 80s. Of course, Ann Wilson, awful news about cancer, and hopefully she'll be back. And then Cheap Trick was supposed to be with Heart in Allentown, and it became a Cheap Trick show with Blue Oyster Cult. And then Cheap Trick picked up some of the other shows. But now Journey has bailed out. And Def Leppard is continuing on with the show. Def Leppard continues They're just continuing on. At the time of this article, it said next show set for tonight in Queens, New York. So they're fighting in Journey. We have between Neil Schon and Jonathan Cain, one of them suing, I think Jonathan Cain, it was suing Neil Schon while they were touring.
Yes.
Because Neil Schon is being reckless with the band's American Express card. According to the petition, Schon has maxed out the account with a $1 million limit by exceeding a daily hotel fee cap of $1,500. He's basically spending up to $10,000 a night. So he's just going wild with, and he also had a private jet, I think.
He's living the life of a rock star.
Yeah. I've heard of them fighting before, though. I don't know how far this goes back. And I think that's why I was shocked that they were still together and touring when they announced this tour.
Well, is it like Hall & Oates fighting, or is it like Hall & Oates fighting?
Yeah. Will they be able to go on his journey without one or the other?
Yes.
That's the thing.
So. I kind of, how do I want to say this? I am surprised that Journey kept going on without Steve Perry, to be completely transparent. And they have, so I'm sure they'll go on.
Well, some music purists would say that the band was, when Steve Perry joined, that's when the band went downhill.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because there was a different singer in the beginning.
Right.
But no, I love Steve Perry, and I don't know, I think Steve Perry's just happy doing a couple albums now. I would like to see Steve Perry tour by himself if he can still hit those high notes.
Yeah.
I just like this line here. This latest incident is also impacting the band's reputation throughout the music industry. How big are Journey in the music industry right now? I don't think they're big. You think of someone that's putting out new albums and on the top 10 and all that. I'm not going to see them on Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Fallon. Or...
Probably not, no. Unless you're watching an episode from like 1988.
Yeah. And then the next news story is, I got this from ultimateclassicrock.com, August 2nd. AEROSMITH to retire.
Such sad news.
They actually ended their farewell tour.
Yeah.
So they couldn't even get through the farewell tour. And it says it was 1970 when a spark of inspiration became AEROSMITH. Thanks to you, our Blue Army, which I've never, ever heard of before. I don't know what that is. That spark caught flame and has been burning for over 5 decades. Some of you have been with us since the beginning, and all of you are the reason we made rock and roll history. I don't really like the AEROSMITH Love in an Elevator. Some of those songs I like, that era. But I like more my favorite album is Honkin' on Bobo.
It's a newer one.
Which is a bluesy out. Because they had the bluesy songs, but, Toys in the Attic, Sweet Emotion, Big 10-inch was on that. It was actually called, do you remember that song? Z95 played it all the time.
Yep.
And it's actually called Big 10-inch Record. They probably still play it, Z95. And AEROSMITH went on to say, it has been the honor of our lives to have our music become part of yours. In every club, on every massive tour, and at moments grand and private, you have given us a place in the soundtrack of your lives. What I could gather is Steven Tyler's vocal injury. And, good for them, because you have Journey, who just got another singer. Mm-hmm. You've got Foreigner, who I don't think maybe at this point, there's no original band member. So good for them that they weren't like, we'll get someone else to sing.
Right.
When you have such a distinctive voice, say U2, the Stones, Stones would never replace Mick Jagger, I don't think. So they were scheduled to resume the tour on September 20th, and they were going to stay on the road till February. So now, how old are these guys?
70s.
Yeah, Steven Tyler's 76. Joe Perry's going to be 74 next month. The guitarist and bass player are 72, and the drummer is 74. So yeah, 70s.
Now I wonder if Joe Perry will continue with is it the Hollywood Vampires? Is that what they're called?
Yes.
With Johnny Depp and...
I think he'll continue, because I think it's the main problem is Steven Tyler's vocals.
Yeah.
So I think the other guys, I don't know what the other guys do except Joe Perry, but they would continue on. Did you have any music stories? Or did I just talk about?
We had the Taylor Swift one that we were going to touch on.
Oh, okay.
What was it? Freaking ISIS attacks? Or the concern of terrorist attacks at the Taylor Swift concerts? I believe they canceled some shows in fear. While you're looking that up, you have not seen Trap yet, have you?
No.
So if you see the movie Trap, you'll get 2 performances for the price of 1. And what I mean by that is you'll get a movie, you'll also get a concert.
Really?
Yes. And the concert performer is actually really good, I thought.
Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about, we're going to mention Taylor Swift. Because you know what? Back in the day on our podcast, Jeremy and I talked about Taylor.
We did.
And we are fans, but...
True story.
We've been kind of silenced because of all the haters. You should see the hate mail we got. No, I'm just kidding. This is awful, and I mean, maybe you listeners know about this, but there was going to be a terrorist attack on a Taylor Swift concert. The terrorists were ISIS-inspired, it says, and it was a suicide attack. Now, it's awful to begin with to decide you're going to kill a lot of people, but even more so with Taylor Swift fans who are mostly children, mothers. I'm sure there's some fathers in there that bring their kids, but just, and it's a fun, I don't get the hate for Taylor Swift.
Me either.
Don't listen, but don't hate on Taylor Swift, because these concerts are what we need, is to go to a concert and sing along and laugh and have a great time.
It's jealousy. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. There were 3 teenagers questioned, and this was in Austria. They plotted a suicide attack at Taylor Swift show. Luckily, they got wind of it beforehand. Investigators unearthed a stockpile of chemicals, explosive devices, detonators, 21,000 euros in counterfeit cash at the home of the main suspect, who was 19-year-old ISIS sympathizer. And we don't really get into politics on the podcast, but this is just, it's music should be fun. Music. Obviously, the person probably wasn't like, I hate Taylor Swift. I think it was the idea of this huge crowd.
Yeah.
The one guy I heard was working, this is what's frightening, was working the Taylor Swift concert. And it kind of reminds me, there's a Stephen King story. It was off the Mr. Mercedes trilogy. Where the one guy, I don't think it was as big as a concert as Taylor Swift, but he was in a wheelchair and he strapped explosives to his chair and tried to, blow up people. So, and these things we have to go to concerts, and all you can do is not think of these things. There's really nothing we can do. Hopefully the venue is, like in this case, someone was tipped off, luckily, and prevented it. Like, I know Wind Creek that we go to in Bethlehem has metal detectors. And that's what it's come down to. You just want to go out and have a good time and be safe. So. So I have a short segment here. We never really talk about food, because we talk about music, but music and food, what are we talking about here? So I thought this would be a fun segment. Like many people, not Jeremy and I personally, but we're obsessed with food. And most people, you don't see me. You only see my face when I post, but I actually weigh 500 pounds. And I've really got to lose some weight here. No, I'm just kidding. This is about Elvis and food.
Okay.
Thank you very much. We all know that Elvis loved peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's 2 other foods Elvis loved. So the first one is burgers. And this is from tastingtable.com. This is from April of this year. Crawford Smith wrote this article. Elvis Presley ate a lot of burgers.
How many burgers did Elvis Presley eat?
Both at home and from fast food places. He kept his fridge stocked with ground beef, burger buns, and condiments at all times. So do I. We just had burgers tonight.
Yeah.
Elvis was fixated on burgers because to him they were a sign of success, not steak, burgers, right? So he grew up in deeply economically challenged conditions, and burgers were an unattainable luxury when he was a child.
Okay.
That's how poor he was. Once he was making enough money to afford burgers, he indulged in them frequently. Elvis's cousin, Danny Smith, remembers Crystal being the King's favorite burger chain. Never heard of him. Crystal, with a K.
Okay.
For ordering takeout and when he was at home at Graceland. Crystal is sort of a southern answer to White Castle, and it was founded in Chattanooga, Tennessee in the 1930s. Served steamed sliders by the sackful, which was a term for a bag of 12 burgers. And they were sliders, so they were small. It said the burgers may be small, but Elvis made up for that by buying a ton of them. Per Smith, Elvis ordered gobs and gobs of them. And everybody up in Graceland would eat on them. Okay. So these are places that, so Crystal's, that's where Elvis would frequent. And then pizza.
Pizza.
Specifically barbecued pork pizza.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Or barbecue chicken.
Mm-hmm. As a southerner, I can't talk right.
Southerner?
As a southerner, Elvis Presley ate barbecue, but he liked to eat it in an untraditional way. One of his favorite dishes was barbecued pork pizza, and specifically the one from Coletta's Italian restaurant in Memphis.
All right.
According to PMQ Pizza magazine, Coletta's claimed to have invented barbecue pizza in the 1950s. The same decade when Elvis was helping to pioneer rock and roll. And according to the website, Horace Coletta came up with the idea because he was having a hard time selling traditional pizza in Memphis in the 1950s. Pizza was still an unfamiliar food in the city. So he added some barbecue pork, which people already knew and liked, and a classic was born. The restaurant's version of the dish is topped with barbecue sauce, cheese, and pulled pork cooked for 8 hours. And Elvis is remembered as ordering barbecued pork pizza from Coletta's every week. And the restaurant is still going strong over 100 years after it got its start as an ice cream parlor.
Oh, they don't sell pizza anymore?
In 1923. I take it they're still around.
All right. I want to check them out.
So there we go.
I wonder if they're on DoorDash. Can I order it right now?
Yeah. See if you can order it.
Have it sent to New Jersey.
Yeah. It's going to be expensive.
And it's probably not going to be hot.
Okay, next up we're talking about new releases. Okay. July 31st. I don't know if you ever heard of this person, Father John Misty.
No.
I listened to probably a new album of his a couple years ago, and it was okay, but he just came out with not greatest hits, but greatish hits. It's called I Followed My Dreams, and My Dreams Said to Crawl. But if you haven't heard of this guy, you need to, because he took the best of his, songs from the albums. And this is a phenomenal greatest or greatish hits album. There's 17 songs on this album. He's a singer-songwriter from Maryland, and he released 8 albums under the name J. Tillman. He was born Joshua Michael Tillman, before a career change, and he became Father John Misty. And then he got attention for some reason, or he changed the way he was writing the songs. And he's kind of hard to peg on the songs, but a couple songs stand out for me. And he even channels old school Elton John on Please Don't Die. Also, Things That Would Have Been Helpful to Know, and pure comedy. And his voice actually sounds almost like Elton John on that song.
Okay.
He also channels Harry Nilsson on Goodbye Mr. Blue. And this song sounds, do you know the song Everybody's Talking? I think it's from the movie Midnight Cowboy, but it's Harry Nilsson. This song, Goodbye Mr. Blue, I just love. It has that 70s sound. It kind of even reminds me of Glenn Campbell a little bit. And it's one of these songs, when I first heard it, I thought it was a cover song because it sounds so similar. It's one of those songs where you're like, what is this song? It sounds like something I've heard before. But when I went back and listened to Everybody's Talking, it's not exactly like that song, but it has that kind of aura around it. Right. Or Gentle on My Mind, like that kind of song. I mean, it's like he melded those two songs together. August 9th, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. You ever hear
what?
That? Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
and their album Flight B741. Now, they're similar to Guided by Voices, who seem to release an album like every 6 months or so. You know, Guided by Voices, they've been around a long time. They're very eclectic because they'll sound like one band and they'll sound like another, sound like REM. Guided by Voices released 3 albums last year. 3 new albums. So this is King Gizzard's 26th album. Their first album came out only 12 years ago.
Okay.
And they have 26 albums. Okay?
That's more than 2 albums a year.
They are an Australian, psychedelic, progressive, heavy metal band.
What?
Yeah. They're a little bit of everything. I've listened to them. They're
the
very...
Gizzard, Lizard, Wizard.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah. August 16th, Post Malone. I actually like Post Malone.
So do I.
It's called F1 Trillion.
You know, he's the one guy. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. He does not sound the way that he appears, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You look at this person and he's scary looking.
Yeah, he sounds too smooth.
Yeah. And then you listen to him and he's just got an amazing voice.
This is Post Malone's
greatest hits
country album.
Oh.
Okay. 18 songs.
Oh.
So far, 3 singles have been released. And they're duets. We have a song with Blake Shelton.
Oh, you know what? I've heard at least one of these.
Morgan Wallen, Luke Combs. Now, the other 15 songs, which is fairly new to me, I think Taylor Swift might have started it, is not to put the song title until the whole album's out.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why seeing a song title would make you know what the song's about. But so there's 15 other songs that have no titles right now. I don't know. I didn't like the Beyonce album. I can't say I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a huge fan of country, but I like, first of all, I like women country singers, and I like outlaw country, which is a more edgier, but not this pop dance country. Yeah, I like Dua Lipa, but maybe if Dua Lipa did a country album, I would definitely buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I just like Dua Lipa.
Okay, I love that.
And yes, I have to say her name. See, you didn't think I was going to say her name, but I did just now. I don't know who wrote this. I think I did, about the Beyonce album, that I've had better sounding bowel movements. That is not nice. I'm going to say I didn't write that. I'm going to say Jeremy did.
I didn't write that.
Okay. Okay, August 23rd, Fontaines, D.C., called Romance. This is their 4th album. And I do like this band. They're an alternative post-punk band out of Dublin, Ireland. And they actually, Jeremy, you would like them. Give them a listen.
Okay.
They have a similar sound as to Imagine Dragons. Yeah, I've grown to like them. I probably couldn't name a song, but I know I've listened to them and I enjoyed them. So then we have Throbbing Gristle.
Throbbing Gristle.
Yeah. The Third Mind Movements. This is a re-release of their final album from 2009. I've heard of them. They're an old band. I always heard that name. Or when I heard that name, I remembered it. Throbbing Gristle. Who can't forget that, you know?
No.
They were an experimental band. I have here you should listen to them if you're high or drunk. They are very experimental. But, you know, as I did listen to some of this. It's almost like listening to a movie score.
Okay.
So it's not too far out, you know, with just banging on shit. And
it's not like Gizzard, Lizard, and the Licking Wizard or whatever.
But it's not like where someone has a metal pot and pan and someone's I don't know, screaming and, you know, that far out.
Okay.
So, now the lead singer, her name was Genesis Porridge. She unfortunately died in 2020.
Oh my God.
She was diagnosed with leukemia, sadly enough. And Peter Sleazy Christopherson.
These can't be real names.
Yes. He died in 2010.
Oh my God.
At the tender age of 55. Throbbing Gristle. I take it this album was not really... I think it's being officially released now because it's from 2009.
So like a re-release or...
Yeah.
Okay.
We got Neil Young. Not a new one. Neil Young's another one, puts out a couple albums a year.
Yeah.
September 6th, Neil Young Archives, Volume 3.
Oh.
Volume 3 takes. So I don't have anything on that, but it's Neil Young, so I'll probably listen to that.
Yeah, Crosby, Stills, and Nash probably aren't there.
Yeah. We've got September 6th, The, which was a band from the early 80s.
What? The.
See, Jeremy's never heard of these.
Oh my goodness.
What? And Soulman. They had their first album was Soul Mining, and they had a hit from that album called This Is the Day from 1983.
Okay.
It is a great song.
I'll have to listen to that one.
So it's an 80s, it got airplay and stuff, on college radio and stuff, but
The.
And it's probably, I have here, the first time I heard an accordion in like a popular song.
Okay.
Yeah. Before Weird Al. Now, the new songs sound a little odd, but the guy's voice is still the same. Matt Johnson, his name is. Kind of a Leonard Cohen vibe on, this is the name of the song, Jeremy. Linoleum Smooth to the Stocking Foot.
Okay.
September 13th, someone who I am, another person I'm in love with. Suki Waterhouse.
Okay.
Did you ever hear her?
No.
Memoir of a Sparkle Muffin. That's the name.
God, this is going to sound bad. Is she Japanese?
No.
Or like...
She's English.
Oh.
She is from England. She's an English model, actress, and singer.
Okay.
This is her second album. But she was in one of my favorite shows recently. It was Daisy Jones and the Six, which was with Riley Keough, which is Lisa Marie's daughter.
Okay.
And she was Daisy Jones, Riley Keough, Suki, I forget her character name, but she was in the band. And it was a fictional band from like the 60s, 70s. Very emotional show. It's only like 6-8 episodes, and it just kind of chronicled their height and then their downfall. And they could all sing. I thought they put out an album, which is great because it sounds 70s, like 70s music. I was hoping they would tour. That's how good it was. Like, I would love to see them, tour. September 20th, we got Bob Dylan and the band. Now, this is the 1974 live recordings. Now, I guess they did come out with a double album called Before the Flood from the live concerts, right? Fans thought it was an insufficient record of the historic tour he did earlier that year with the band as his backup group. So the band, right? And Bob Dylan. How many tracks do you think is on this set, Jeremy?
6.
6. No, they put out a double live album. So you're not listening to me.
Double live album.
They originally put out a double live album called Before the Flood. But the fans thought it was insufficient. So how many songs do you think is on this now?
Apologies, double album. I'm going to say 36.
400 tracks.
What?
Yes.
How can you even fit that many tracks on a CD?
I think it's a box set. It's a box set.
How many albums are there?
It's 20. How many CDs? Well, it's 27 performances on the tour from the tour.
Okay.
And it's on 27 CDs.
Okay.
And it comes out September 20th. It contains 417 previously unreleased tracks, plus a dozen from the LA Forum that were already included in Before the Flood, on Before the Flood. Yeah.
Okay.
So Apple Music, they usually have these on there. I forget, like the Paul McCartney, the 7-inch box set, that's on Apple Music.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, I don't even know how much this thing is. Could be like $400.
$1 a song.
Yeah. So if you're a big Bob Dylan fan, I did send this to a friend of mine who, when I went to his house years ago, that's all he had was Bob Dylan CDs.
Oof.
He didn't have any other band. That's his collection was just Bob Dylan, and he's from Australia. Okay. I don't know. Let's see what's next. As always, we're going to do album anniversaries. And we're starting with 1964, September. We got a couple music news things. September 16th, Shindig premieres on ABC. That was a music show. September 22nd, Fiddler on the Roof opens on Broadway. Album releases. The Animals is the American debut studio album by the British invasion group The Animals, released in late summer 1964. The album introduced the States to the drawling, dirty R&B sound, with the emphasis on the B that typified the group, and of course that would be blues. And the album includes several R&B standards written by the likes of Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, John Lee Hooker, as well as a number one single, of course, House of the Rising Sun. So that was on their debut album.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was that early, 1964.
Yeah, that's actually surprising to me.
Yeah.
I've heard that song redone so many times now.
So this song was shortened for radio, and it would be restored to full length on the February 1966 compilation, The Best of the Animals, and later on CD and digital reissues. And the shortened version was 2 minutes 59 seconds. The regular version is 4 minutes 29 seconds. So we have September 1974. Music news, September 15th. Gary Thane of Uriah Heep is shocked on stage at the Moody Coliseum in Dallas, Texas, and is seriously injured. He survived only to die of a heroin overdose in December of the following year at age 27.
Jeez.
So he was in the 27 club. September 27th, 1974, his album releases. Neil Diamond. Oh, I don't have my sound effect. Releases his 9th studio album called Serenade, and this was his second album for Columbia Records. 3 singles were lifted from the album Longfellow Serenade, which is number 5, I've Been This Way Before, number 34, and The Last Picasso. Serenade was Diamond's 3rd consecutive platinum album, and it was also another album that featured a song about his penis. Is that on Wikipedia? No. And that would be... No, listen to Longfellow Serenade. I swear it's about his penis. Do you know the song?
I'd have to hear it.
Ride, Baby, Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And the title, Longfellow Serenade. Who do you think he's serenading? His Longfellow. Come on. Okay. I digress. And Serenade was the last album for which Diamond solely wrote all the songs until 2001's 3-chord opera. Now, this is weird because this is on Wikipedia, and it quotes The Morning Call.
Like Our Morning Call?
Yeah.
Okay.
They said that the songs seemed overblown, self-important, and banal, pale imitations, rewrites, if you will, of songs Diamond already had recorded. They were pretty harsh. So next we have, let's say, Robert Palmer releases his debut solo album. I don't have a date for this. And it's Sneakin' Sally Through the Alley. This is a good album.
Yeah.
This was his first effort after 3 album releases co-fronting the band Vinegar Joe, which I've never heard of.
No, me either.
Robert Palmer is backed by the Meters and Lowell George of Little Feat, and multiple reviewers have commented that Palmer sang confidently on this album despite being backed by more accomplished musicians such as Lowell George, Art Neville, and New Orleans singer-songwriter Alan Toussaint. Now, the album peaked at number 107 on the Billboard 200, and Get Outside, which was released as the B-side to Which of Us Is the Fool, a single from Palmer's next album, Pressure Drop, bubbled under the Billboard Hot 100, peaking at number 105. Neither the album or its singles charted in the UK, however. Now, much of the music was improvised in the studio as Palmer encouraged the rhythm musicians to play while he improvised his own percussive vocals on top of what they were playing. So, the title track, so we have Sneakin' Sally Through the Alley, was written by Alan Toussaint and was originally sung by Lee Dorsey, was included on his 1971 album Yes We Can. Says the striking album cover was the first of several Palmer covers photographed by Graham Hughes and depicts a stylishly dressed Palmer fleeing through a tunnel with a model clad in a lacy slip and a string of pearls. And the image was inspired by scenes from Jean-Luc Godard's 1965 film Alphaville.
Never saw it.
I think the band Alphaville was named after that movie. You probably never heard of that.
Nope.
So September 1984, we got music news. September 2nd, Van Halen concludes its 1984 world tour with a show in Nuremberg, Germany, as part of the Monsters of Rock Festival. This would be the band's last concert with David Lee Roth as lead singer until 2007.
Okay. I was going to ask if that was Jump, so that must have been before, just before Jump.
Yeah, this was like Hot for Teacher. That was their last album with...
I love that song.
Yeah. I like that album. That was the last album with David Lee Roth.
Yeah. Then he was just a gigolo.
September 7th, Janet Jackson elopes with fellow singer James DeBarge. But the marriage would be annulled in 1985. September 14th, the first annual MTV Video Music Awards are held in New York City. And September 21st, the first compact disc manufacturing plant in North America opens in Terre Haute, Indiana. CDs have previously had to be expensively imported from Japan or West Germany. Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA is designated as the first CD ever made in the United States.
Awesome.
Which is great. Born in the USA, first CD.
Great album.
Yeah, that just had an anniversary, 40 years. And we got albums from 1984. Billy Ocean.
Oh.
Do you know him?
Yes.
Suddenly, it's called. This is the fifth studio album. British singer Billy Ocean, released on September 12th, 1984. It featured his first major U.S. pop hit single, Caribbean Queen. No More Love on the Run. That was the full title. It reached number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Prior to that, his biggest success on the U.S. charts had been a number 22 placing for Love Really Hurts Without You in 1976. I don't remember that one. Which was one of a number of UK hits he had achieved by the release of this album. Despite these earlier hits, Suddenly became Ocean's first charting album in the United Kingdom, reaching number 1 on the UK album chart. And it also reached number 9 in the US and spawned 2 additional US top 5 singles with the title track and Lover Boy, while a 4th single, Mystery Lady, reached the US top 40. I only remember that Caribbean Queen. Then we got Depeche Mode, Some Great Reward. This is the 4th studio album by the English electronic music band Depeche Mode, released on September 24th, 1984. Album peaked at number 5 in the United Kingdom and number 51 in the United States, and was supported by the Some Great Reward tour. And this was the first album where they achieved chart success in the US with the single People Are People, which reached number 13 on the charts in mid-1985 on the Billboard Hot 100 and was a top 20 hit in Canada. And we got...
I was going to say, I always remember Depeche Mode because the first time I ever heard them, it was back in the Napster days. Do you remember that music software? And I called them the Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode.
And nobody knew what I was talking about. And finally one day I heard on the radio, radio DJ was like, oh, it was Depeche Mode. I was like, oh, that's why people look at me like I was nuts.
And then we have Survivor.
Oh, yeah.
Vital Signs.
Oh, wow. All for One? No. Survivor is Rocky movies? Okay.
But this album had the singles I Can't Hold Back, peaked at number 13. And the song I simply love is High on You. Do you know that song?
I do know that song.
They had The Search Is Over, number 4, and First Night, I don't know that song, 53.
No idea.
But High on You just brings me back to that. I mean, that was around the time I graduated high school. I still love that song. It always had like a 38 Special sound to me or something. A lot of those bands kind of sounded similar.
Yeah.
Then we got an honorable mention, and it's Alphaville, Jeremy. They are a German synth band, and they released their debut, Forever Young, on September 24th.
Like the Rod Stewart Forever Young or something totally different?
Actually has it on here. It's not the Rod Stewart.
Okay.
September 27th. The title song, Forever Young, and I have here Not the Rod Stewart song.
Okay.
It had 4 singles supporting the album, Big in Japan, Sounds Like a Melody, and Forever Young and Jet Set. The album reached #1 in Norway and Sweden. Now, Forever Young is a really, really good song. But, I mean, the Rod Stewart one's good, too. You know, that one's good, too. But in 2019, folk singer Andrea Von Kampen released her version of that song. And I actually like that even better than the original, the way she sings it. Of course, Matt and I interviewed her back in August of 2021. So that was cool that she redid that song. And it was weird because I think it was for a hardware store in England or something. And she's from, like, Nebraska. But they were using it in a commercial.
For corn?
It was a famous, like, hardware store in England, and they had her sing that song for the commercial. Now we're going to September 94, music news, and this is just wild. September 8th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I've never heard of this band, but Richard A. Morse, it says this is actually his lead male vocalist of RAM.
RAM.
Yeah, RAM.
Not REM, but RAM.
So I don't know many women named Richard. So why do you have to have lead male vocalist, right?
Hey, yeah, who knows?
He narrowly escapes a kidnapping by armed men during the band's live performance at the Hotel Olafson in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The attempted kidnapping was provoked by the performance of a song called It's F-E-Y, Fey, a RAM single banned nationwide by the military authorities. And I didn't look up this. I should have looked up the song. But they didn't like that they were performing this song, and they tried to kidnap them.
Okay. I'm curious.
So he obviously made the news.
Curious to hear the song now.
Yeah. September 15th, a 1957 audio tape of John Lennon performing with the Quarrymen. That was, of course, before the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
On the same night he met Paul McCartney, fetches 78,500 pounds at Sotheby's, London.
That's a lot of money. What does that equivalent to in U.S. dollars? Do you know?
I don't know. I used to know.
No, I'd just be curious.
But still, even if it was 78,000, still a lot for audio tape.
For sure.
94, September, we have They Might Be Giants, John Henry. I love They Might Be Giants.
Yep, good band.
This is their 5th studio album. And let's see, it's the first album by They Might Be Giants to include a full band arrangement rather than synthesized and programmed backing tracks. Because before this, it was just the two of them.
Yeah, was this Put a Little Birdhouse?
No, that was Flood.
Oh, okay.
Now this is 94. Now it's their longest record, and it was the band's highest charting adult album, having peaked at 61 on the Billboard 200 until 2011's Join Us, which peaked at number 32. I don't even know that album.
No.
Now, one song I found interesting is it's called AKA Driver. It's the name of the song.
Mm-hmm.
In the song lyrics, they refer to someone as a NyQuil driver. NyQuil. Right?
Like the drink?
Yeah.
Not the drink, but
the cold
medicine.
Yeah, the cold medicine.
I drink NyQuil all the time.
Now, John Flansburgh offered an explanation of the legal issue with the inclusion of a brand name.
Okay.
So you're not supposed to use a brand name.
Like
you
NyQuil.
I didn't know that in lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you couldn't say Pepsi, or I guess not.
Yeah.
He said it was a brief education for us in the difference between protected speech and trademark infringement. According to our lawyer, you can say pretty much anything in a song about a product, and that expression is a protected part of every American's freedom of speech. However, when you title a song after a trademark product and then start selling your recording, which is also a product, you run the risk of trademark holder suing you for infringing on their trademark. Maybe they changed it. Maybe they changed the name of the song to AKA Driver. Now, there were 20 songs on this album, and most, not over 3 minutes long, but 57, the album's 57 minutes long. The Blues Traveler. Now, this is a good one, because this is Blues Traveler 4. This is when I got into Blues Traveler. And this has to be it's probably not on my top 10, but if I had a top 25 list of albums,
okay,
it's got to be up there. I listened to this album over and over. This is the fourth album by Blues Traveler, released on September 13th, 1994. And Blues Traveler broke into the mainstream following the release of this album. 4 peaked at number 8 on Billboard 200 Albums chart, and it's most known for its hit Runaround.
Okay.
And Hook.
I was going to ask if it was Hook. All right.
Yeah. So Runaround charted at number 8, Hook at 23 on the Billboard Hot 100. I mean, you think the song Runaround would have been at number 1 because it was played all the time.
So was Hook. I'm surprised it was only at 23.
Yeah. This album is certified 6 times platinum, 6 million copies sold in the U.S. Runaround won the 1995 Grammy Award for Best Rock Performance by a duo or group. Do you remember the video to the song?
I don't.
Because this is what I love, this video. So there's people going into a club, a music club where there's a band playing.
Mm-hmm.
Now the band on stage is like young, energetic, and there's people outside who are also pretty young and pretty, hearing the music, which is, Runaround, and they're intrigued. We see a girl dressed like Dorothy. She's got ruby slippers on, and she shows her ID to the bouncer. Of course, her name on the ID is Dorothy Gale from Anytown, USA. I paused the video. Her friends with her, there's a guy dressed as the Scarecrow. They don't have masks on or anything. They have makeup on their faces, but just costumes from the neck down. We see the Tin Man, Scarecrow, Cowardly Lion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a wizard, obviously Wizard of Oz. Now some dude is passed out. They can't get into the club. And then some guy is passed out, I think behind the club, and Dorothy licks his hand stamp. And then I don't even think this is possible. And then applies it to her friend's hands. So they can get in, right? You couldn't just lick the ink.
No.
Yeah. So then you kind of see that there's a band behind the curtain, which is Blues Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dorothy, of course, has her dog with her. It's Toto.
Toto, yeah.
And Toto runs off and runs behind the curtain, and then Dorothy, they see the band back there. But I don't think it's revealed to the crowd. Like the curtain doesn't come down or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not revealed to the people out there. But it's kind of those things. I think it was a take on MTV, or just doing music videos, and you had to look cool, you had to look young, you had to get a person's interest with how you looked too.
Yep.
And Blues Traveler didn't. They were just normal guys. That was kind of their take. And also the Wizard of Oz, instead of the man behind the curtain, the band
right
behind the curtain. So I love that video. And we have another big album, and it's REM Monster, September 27th, 94. So it's going to be 30 years old. It's the 9th studio album by REM. Now, this is an intentional shift from the style of their previous 2 albums, Out of Time, Automatic for the People. It was a little louder. Distorted guitars, simple lyrics, and it was led by the successful single "What's the Frequency, Kenneth," which I love. It debuted at number 1 in the United States and at least 7 other countries, and 4 more singles were released from the album, including the UK top hits "Bang and Blame," "Strange Currencies," and "Tongue." And that year, the band promoted the album with their first concert tour since 1989, so it was 5 years. And although the tour was commercially successful, the band members suffered several health problems. At the 37th Annual Grammy Awards, Monster was nominated for Best Rock Album, but it lost out to the Rolling Stones' Voodoo Lounge. And then the follow-up album, which I love, is The New Adventures in Hi-Fi. I like all REM albums. I like...
Yeah, REM was good. Was that the Losing My Religion?
Let's see. Automatic for the People, I think, might have been Losing My Religion.
Okay.
92, I think.
The only song by them that I wasn't a huge fan of that played a lot was Everybody Hurts. I just got so over that. That
might have been on that one. New Adventures in Hi-Fi, I don't know. I get those two mixed up, Automatic for the People, because I think they're so similar. Because they went back to their, Monster was loud and they distort, but New Adventures and Automatic were like just low key. Night Swimming, Man on the Moon is on one of those albums.
I like that song.
Yeah.
Because even though that's soft, it's still upbeat. Everybody Hurts is just a depressing, very down song.
Yeah.
And it's the same, like, sound, the entire song.
I think my first, I knew about Murmur even way back when. But the first album I really loved was Document, which had It's the End of the World. And it was such a strange album. I loved it because the songs on it are just really odd on that album. Well, they had their songs were, straightforward to begin with.
I was going to say, they had a very unique, everything was so simple, like just very simple lyrics. But then It's the End of the World was very fast and kind of out of the norm for them.
That whole album I felt was made for college kids.
Yes.
If you listen to that album.
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way of explaining it.
Yeah. Recently, and this is kind of music news, is the band reunited, and I love this, after 17 years, back in June, only a couple months ago, when they were inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame. I love REM, and there's an interview. For some reason, they were on CBS Mornings.
Okay.
Like, to do this reunion with Anthony Mason, and not to be confused with the late basketball player. There is a basketball player, it was Anthony Mason.
Right.
And they even performed Losing My Religion at the induction ceremony. And just one song, that was it. But my question is, how did CBS Mornings get an interview with them?
Yeah.
You think it would have been a big deal for a major journalist to nab. But, REM is probably the type, like, they weren't looking to be paid even, probably. Oh, we'll pay you $1 million. They probably didn't want to do those interviews.
Right. I linked them, for some reason, always with Collective Soul. Those two bands kind of, to me, went hand in hand.
Yeah, I like them, too. This was a great interview because it was kind of a sit-down. They were sitting at a table. I don't know where they were, but the interviewer was just sitting across from them, and they were just having a conversation. I really hope they do a new album, or at least a tour.
I was going to say, I'd love to see them tour. I'd go see them live. I
was supposed to see them in the 90s with Sue, with my wife, and unfortunately she was sick. I had tickets to Hershey Park, and we didn't go. I always remind her. You could have gone, even if you're throwing up. I'll never see REM now. Now we have one honorable mention, and it is Kermit. It's not Unplugged, it's Unpigged. This is a great. Now I don't know if this is a great album or not, and most people forget this album, Jeremy, because it came out the same day as REM Monster.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kermit was competing with REM. The best song, though, off this album, and I'm not making this up, it's the Steppenwolf song, Born to Be Wild.
Okay.
And it's performed by Ozzy Osbourne and Miss Piggy. And Ozzy is doing all the singing. So imagine Ozzy singing Born to Be... I never heard this song before until recently.
Okay.
He's singing Born to Be Wild. And Miss Piggy is kind of... She doesn't sing, but she's talking throughout the song. Oh, Ozzy! Or I don't know what she... No idea. She's saying stuff every once in a while.
Okay. Which
it would have been great if just Ozzy was singing the song.
This isn't like a Weird Al CD or anything, right?
No, I think it's... And it's not unplugged because this Born to Be Wild is like... It's not acoustic.
Right.
And it's Ozzy. Like, his voice sounds incredible on the song. And I think it's duet.
Okay.
I don't know who else is on the album. But Kermit Unpigged, you may be able to find it on, like, Spotify. Check it out. So
compare it against Monster. See if you missed out.
Yeah, compare it.
See if you made a mistake by not buying it.
Okay, our last segment, while Jeremy's looking up Ozzy Osbourne and Miss Piggy, is another Give It a Listen to end the show. And this is a band called the Chris Slade Timeline from the recently released new album Timescape on Brave Words Records. So Timescape contains completely original new tracks and some of Chris Slade's favorite covers. And the band, we have Paul Bun Davis vocals, Stevie Gee vocals and bass, James Cornford guitar vocals, Mike Clark keyboards, guitar vocals, and Chris Slade drums vocals. So everyone in the band sings lead on at least one or more songs. And what are people saying about the album? Power Play magazine says this is a must-have album that documents an incredible career. And Defenders of the Faith, which is a heavy metal website, says for the headbangers, there's plenty to enjoy, and heavy rockers like Sundance, We Will Survive, and the strongest of the bunch, Back with a Vengeance, which shines with its up-tempo drive and shrill Brian Johnson-esque vocals. And Chris Slade recently spoke with BraveWords.com about recording the album. He says, well, I'm a bit old-fashioned, I'm afraid. It's probably down to my age, but I'm of that generation that an album is the culmination of a previous time in the business, and this album has been that. It has 2 CDs, as you know, one full of originals, and the other features covers of all sorts of things that I've played on. So it's a good mixture, and it's also the way that we do our shows. But the original album is very diverse. There's some heavy rock in there, some prog, and there's actually a ballad. And I'm afraid that's my taste. I can't apologize for it because that is what I wanted to do. It wasn't intentional. Those were the strongest songs that came out of our writing. But the guys were an enormous help because I don't play a chordal instrument or any instruments apart from the drums. He says, I can hum pretty good though. If you don't know Chris Slade, he was the drummer for Tom Jones when he was about 16. He also was in The Firm with Jimmy Page, and he also was in AC/DC for a little bit. He's on Razor's Edge, and he played drums on that album, and he toured with them during that time period. He was also a founding member of, if I get this right, Manfred Mann's, I think it was called Earth Band. And so we're ending today's show with a song from Chris Slade's Timeline. His album, again, is titled Timescapes, and the song we're going to play, part of, is We Will Survive. We have Stevie G on lead vocals on this one. And you can find more information about the album at chrisslade.com and bravewordrecords.com. I want to thank Michael Branvold of Brave Words Records for giving us permission today to play part of the song. And before we leave, I just want to thank all our listeners for tuning in today. If you're a musician or a singer, songwriter, email us, of course. Send us your bio, a link to a recent song or album. We'll give it a listen, and maybe we'll talk about you and promote your band or yourself on a future podcast. And you can email us at nogoodmusicpodcast@gmail.com. Also, be sure to check out our merch store at TeePublic, and it's teepublic.com/user/nogoodmusic, and that's KNOW. So until next time, turn off the TV
and turn up the music.
You've been listening to No Good Music, exit music by the band 99%. Today's show is produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.